Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and you know what it means when my camera is up here and you're looking at this over here. But let me explain what's going on. It has been over 6 months since we last updated the 800 CCF Tier 3 tier list, this ranking of only 800 CCF Tier 3s. Why do we rank 800 CCF Tier 3s in such an important, robust manner? Well, because they're the most accessible of all the Tier 3s. They cost the least amount of CCF, and lately, especially, they've been having the most impact on your roster. So if you have been saving up CCF and you're wondering, who should I spend my 10 books on? Well, hopefully this list will make that much clearer, because this list right here is not good, and it's 6 months old. So we're gonna have to do some spring cleaning, summer cleaning, everything. It's a fire sale. Everything must go. As you can see, I've added 2 new tiers to this tier list because there's just way too many 800 CCF Tier 3s. I also have to go ahead and start to separate characters using different classifications like PvE and PvP, because it's otherwise just too difficult to just say S, A, B, C, D, F tier. So we're going to have some pretty classic names coming up here. The last 2 categories, you can kind of call them whatever you want. You know what it means. It means they're just very, very, very low value in today's Marvel Future Fight, arena. So we're going to start off with that list there. Unfortunately, Namor and Magneto are coming down. A lot of mutants are coming down. The one mutant that's not coming down is Storm, because she is actually about to get a tier 4 in a new uniform. So preemptively, we're gonna move Storm up to the top. I know that there's no way of knowing. Okay, Storm is the one speculative guess here out of everyone ranked on this list. Storm is the one speculative guess that is not actually backed up by testing and sort of that kind of thing. As far as the too slow category goes, it's not quite as bad as no value. But basically, these are characters that you would build nowadays because you love them, not because they're good. So I want to make that distinction there. You can maybe get away with 1 or 2 of these characters in some content, but it's really going to be a labor of love rather than an investment that you make that pays off and sort of feels really good. There's also going to be uniforms that are being replaced, so you're no longer going to see this version of Black Widow because we have the new version of Black Widow, and all these extra toys down here, these other models, these are just old models that have since been replaced by newer uniforms. So you can sort of keep track on who's getting the most uniforms. Besides Loki, all of these characters here have just gotten, in the last, well, since the last time, well, no, because anyways, it's complicated, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Since I started making these lists, which is like, whatever, 2 years ago or something like that. As far as the support tier goes, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to bring Wong up here. These are basically characters that are really good because they're support characters. It's very hard to rank support characters next to DPS characters in Marvel Future Fight because you need to know what your roster looks like. Well, I need to know, and I can't know, right? So maybe your roster doesn't need support types because you already have all the good ones, or you already have all of the ones that are going to satisfy your account. Wong is an amazing support. He may not be as good of a support as White Tiger, but he is the best support in the sense that he does the most damage. So if you build these characters with an obelisk or an offensive CTP, Wong is by far the best one. So you can sort of flip-flop back and forth between who you think is best, but I would put Wong first because he has the highest DPS of any support. However, Wong might be a terrible support for you because you don't have tier 3 Doctor Doom. You don't have tier 3 Doctor Strange and that sort of thing. You don't have the characters that he buffs the most. So with that being said, obviously the support tier is the trickiest one, and it's the one that you sort of need to pay attention to and figure out whether it works for you or not. As far as characters that are good, I don't really have a better explanation here. I can explain why for each one specifically, but good just means that they're good, but they're not good enough to be any higher than good. Doesn't mean they're bad. Anything from support and up is there's no wrong answer if you're going to tier 3 these characters. Some of them may be a little outdated, like for example Luna. There's just better speed types nowadays, but you're still going to get some decent production out of her if you tier 3 her. So it's not like you're getting a dead character or a character who is sort of on the weak end of things. For Ghost Rider and Rogue, they're mostly here because of squad battle. We'll put it that way. and they're sort of just hanging on by those threads. Kingpin is for ABX, of course. He's fantastic for that, and he's not bad for World Boss. Gwenpool is amazing for GBR. Surprisingly enough, you do need Deadpool to go along with her, but she is very good for that. She can compete with other speed types, other like better speed types in GBR because of that synergy with the new Deadpool uniform. And she's actually not bad for World Boss either. Hard to play, annoying to play, but does crunch out, does pump out a lot of damage. As far as the demigod category goes, and then we got Blade and stuff. It's pretty self-explanatory. As far as the demigod category goes, these are characters that are very strong, but just not quite strong enough to be considered PvE gods. And mostly that has to do with their inflexibility. They're either very, very good for, GBR, or very, very good for World Boss. One game mode they dominate in, which might make you think they're a god, but then you look at the people at the top here and they dominate multiple game modes. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I understand why these characters are sort of doing their thing, because they can, when you can dominate more categories, you have more value, therefore you are ranked higher on the list. Now, PvE gods, PvP gods. Here we go. Yes, Spider-Man is officially gone. He's not a PvP or PvE god anymore. We're going to bring Emma Frost up here, and we're going to bring Hela down. These three are basically the only ones, and it's just hasn't changed. It's not a surprise that it hasn't changed for the past like 6 months. They're very, very good for PvP. They're very budget friendly compared to options like Adam Warlock, Thanos, Doctor Doom, Molecule Man. Like, they're way, 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 way cheaper, and they still perform very well. You don't necessarily see them on a team together like this, but the 2 out of the 3 can definitely put together a very strong team. The only thing that's missing from them 3, even if you put them together, is a leadership, right? There's no strong leadership here between the 3 of them. Hela having the best one, but still not very good from a PvP perspective, and especially considering it doesn't even buff Spider-Man. And then as far as PvE gods go, we have Loki, we have Thena, and we have the speculation of Storm. This is really where things changed dramatically. Thor and Iron Man. Obviously, Moon Knight is not a tier 3, otherwise he would be here. But then actually also Jane Foster. So the level 80 bump is one thing, even if we're not considering, because I did say this was a tier 3. This was a tier 3 800 CCF ranking. So you're probably looking at the screen and going, Alex, those are tier 4s. I recognize that, right? Both Thor and Iron Man can go to tier 4, yes. But even if you just consider them now with their new uniforms at level 80 tier 3, and yes, the level 80 increase does cost more, so you do have to pay more for these 2 characters than you do for anyone else here, but other characters have other costs associated. Like, for example, Kingpin's uniform is only available during Christmas, and Gwenpool's uniform is only available for real money during April Fool's. It was the dumbest event ever. White Fox, same thing as Kingpin. And then, of course, Thena, you have to get Makara and Gilgamesh. So there's actually quite a few characters here that have additional costs associated with them, right? Icarus, etc. However, just the level 80 bump is so insane for these 2. And I do put Iron Man a little bit ahead of Thor. So if you're wondering, these have not been ranked interchangeably. I do believe that Iron Man is better. So I do believe that Iron Man is currently the best character in the game, the highest value at level 80 tier 3. Not tier 4, just level 80 tier 3. And if you want, if you're very tight for resources, you can try level 72 and then slowly work your way up. But you definitely want to get to level 80 because they clap so hard. But yeah, they just completely imbalanced. They completely shifted the balance of power. And when I was making this list, I was like, okay, I know that Iron Man and Thor are going to be at the top. But I was looking at the original list where, Spider-Man was here, Hela was here, Shang-Chi was here, and I was like, I can't compare these characters to Iron Man and Thor. They can't be in the same category. It's not even close. Like, it's not even close to close. So I realized that was the point of realization for me, where I had to break them up, like an iceberg with a crowbar, and create this monstrosity. I know it's a lot of different categories, a lot of different colors, but it was absolutely 100% necessary because they're just way too strong. Now, if you're wondering why, if they're so strong, why are these other characters here? Well, they're also really strong. Loki definitely has the most justification for being here because he's a god for lots of other content. Not for World Boss Legend, not for GBR, right? That's Iron Man and Thor's job. But basically for everything else. ABX, you know, Dimension Rift farming, Dispatch farming, tons of different content. He just absolutely dominates. And he's actually a good striker for these two if you don't have the matching instinct, because of his 5th skill, creating extra explosions based on how many enemies are around you for content that has lots of mobs. And then Thena, similarly, again, I could put her down here, but she is sort of a cut above these other characters because she can do as well as they can in World Boss Legend content and stuff like that. She's second best in ABX, and she also dominates GBR, right? And that GBR thing is becoming more important, and so you have to recognize why, right? Like, there's a pretty big gap between Thena and the rest of these characters for GBR specifically. And then for Jane, it's not actually GBR, it's actually World Boss. She's, again, just a cut above these characters with identical builds. She can go 5, 10, 15 stages higher than they can. I know restrictions are a thing, but I know that Shang-Chi with a regular Rage CTP can't go much higher than 44 null because he just runs out of time. She's going up and clapping stage 60 null, right? So it's just like, what is going on? Like, it's crazy, but you have to recognize that comparison. You have to recognize that gap, and so she deserves to be there. She probably deserves to be here the least, and she has the most survivability issues of these characters, but I definitely think that it's here or it's here with a massive gap, like with a massive gap before these 5 characters here. And then Storm, yeah, we're just guessing. Obviously, it's pure speculation, but presumably she'll be here when she gets her new uniform at level 80. And then who knows? She might be here, and then who knows? She might be there. We have no idea how strong she's going to be, but she's definitely going to be on this list. And if you're going to tier 3 her in anticipation of her new uniform and upgrade, don't. So it's kind of weird. I'm saying I know she's going to be in the top 6 PvE characters for 800 CCF, but I'm telling you not to tier 3 her. Well, I'm telling you not to tier 3 her because A, we don't know how her uniform is going to be obtainable, and B, if you can't tier 3 her now, you can just wait a couple of days and tier 3 her later. You're not going to get any blast books in the meantime. Your RNG is not that good, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully this list helps you out. It has changed so much, so dramatically in 6 months that I promise I will update this list more frequently, so we don't do like one every 6 months with this like really drastic, really, you know, whiplash-inducing change. But yeah, this is how it shakes out. Thanks so much for watching. Hit me down below in the comments with your thoughts and opinions. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.